The Prime Minister hints at an election date. International observers to enter the country to monitor the upcoming general election, and the Prime Minister insisted that none of the VAT money was wasted. We've got those stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. Time is short. These are the words of Prime Minister Perry Christie when he was asked when is the date of the next general election. While much of the country waits in anticipation for Prime Minister Perry Christie to ring the bell indicating the date of the 2017 general election, on Wednesday he hinted that time is very short until voters head to the polls. During one of his 4 communications in the House of Assembly, Mr. Christie said some MPs may have drawn the conclusion that voter registration stations will soon close. He said, quote, "Mr. Speaker, as I am doing this, I am sure members would draw some very strong conclusions that there is not much time for people to register. So I would simply say that time is very short," end quote. At this point, before the last general election cycle, Bahamians were still speculating as to when former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham would call the 2012 election. The House did not dissolve until April 10th, and the election date of May 7th was announced that night when Mr. Ingraham gave a national televised address. As of March 20th, 141,698 people had registered to vote in the election. This is roughly 18% less than the 172,000 on the 2012 voter registry. On Monday night during a Progressive Liberal Party regional branch meeting, Mr. Christie urged supporters to register to vote. After being exposed by Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts for his failure to settle a 15-year tax debt of $9,500 to the Department of Customs, Free National Movement North Eleuthera candidate Howard Ricky Mackey followed through on a promise to pay the debt on Monday. In a statement, Mr. Mackey said he has paid in full his outstanding tax bill, while apologizing for allowing the situation to become a distraction in ongoing campaign efforts by his party. Mr. Mackey insisted that the situation has taken away from the issues that voters across the country want to be addressed, primarily the education system, the economy, and crime. He also said that the PLP was using examples similar to his as a means to avoid engaging in discussions on matters of importance due to their abysmal record. During a rally in Hatchet Bay, Eleuthera on Friday, Mr. Roberts told those in attendance that Mr. Mackey owed the government thousands of dollars in Department of Customs duties, which he committed in writing to pay, but had failed to do so. The United States and CARICOM will enter the country to observe the election process. The Bahamas government has received confirmation from 2 of 4 international organizations invited to send electoral observers for the upcoming general election. Invitations were sent to the Caribbean Community, the Commonwealth of Nations, the Organization of American States, and the United States of America, according to Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Public Affairs Officer Al Dillette. Mr. Dillette told the Tribune that CARICOM and the U.S. have confirmed that they will send observers, and the government expects responses from the remaining groups in due course. This comes amid concerns about the voting process and after a revelation from Parliamentary Commissioner Sherlyn Hall that several people have registered twice in the same constituency, an irregularity that was picked up by the department's computer database. CARICOM and the Organization of American States were invited by the Ingraham administration to observe the 2012 general election, a first for the country. After more than 3 weeks of battling toxic smoke in the aftermath of the New Providence landfill fire, Environment Minister Kenred Dorsett revealed on Thursday that the massive blaze earlier this month was the result of thieves burning wires in search of copper. Mr. Dorsett told the Tribune that while a formal assessment has not been completed, government officials discovered wires in the area where they believe the fire began, behind Epic Battery on Fire Trail Road. He said, based on what was found in the area, officials believe the culprits were burning the wires to extract copper. However, he said officials still have no leads on who was responsible for starting the blaze. Mr. Dorsett also addressed concerns about a temporary dump site on Spikenard Road, which the government set up for debris collection in the wake of Hurricane Matthew. He stressed that this site is not expected to collect trash indefinitely, saying it was a short-term solution. A resident of the area contacted the Tribune on Thursday expressing concern about the proliferation of dumping there. Some residents are also worried that the Spikenard roadside will attract scavengers and arsonists, leading to fires in their area. Prime Minister Perry Christie on Wednesday sought to set the record straight over value-added tax collections, saying all of the money is accounted for. Amid lingering questions regarding value-added tax collections, Prime Minister Perry Christie was on the defensive on Wednesday as he explained how his administration handled $1.14 billion in VAT revenue accumulated during 2015 and 2016, insisting that not $1 of the money has been frittered away. Finally giving an extensive explanation of VAT revenue since the matter was reignited following the Progressive Liberal Party's convention in January, the Prime Minister told parliamentarians it was a worrisome and nonsensical misconception that his administration mishandled VAT money. This issue, he said, needed to be put to rest once and for all. VAT was implemented on January 1st, 2015 at a rate of 7.5% on most goods and services. According to Mr. Christie, while VAT collections are automatically sent to the Consolidated Fund, where revenue is indistinguishable and not earmarked for any one purpose, it goes toward three categories of reduction. These include tax reduction, funding of expenditure and deficit, and debt reductions, being the residual income. He was adamant that the government has been crystal clear from the onset that the administration's program for tax reform had manifold objectives. While VAT did yield more than $1.1 billion, Mr. Christie said there was a vast impact on the recurrent government revenue due to the elimination of hotel occupancy tax, VAT refunds, and other tax reductions. These amounted to a total reduction of $344 million in revenue foregone since the introduction of VAT, but the net impact on revenues to the government was $756 million.
Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com, like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network, send us a tweet at Tribune242, or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.